Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here. And true to their word, today Wargaming released yet another devblog. And I don't know what's going on at Wargaming HQ, be it that Still Hunters has imploded, freeing up some resources to be rediverted back to Warships, or maybe Wargaming is just finally deciding to listen to the community. But they have just been on a roll here recently, releasing a string of W's.
It's banger after banger after banger after banger after banger.
And today is no exception, because today's devblog is announcing some much needed balancing to maps. And the maps that they're tackling first are definitely some of the worst offenders when it came to not so balanced maps. And it's absolutely crazy because myself and others mentioned this well over about 8 or 9 months ago when we had the whole kerfuffle going on in January, February-ish with the experimental ships and some of the other things Wargaming was doing at that time when they announced all that. Many of us were like, well, hold up a second, Wargaming, you're doing all this, but like we don't have a new map. And we don't even have like changes made to some maps that desperately need change and have been needing changes for years now. But finally today, this is happening. Not going live today, obviously, that these changes are coming in the future, but they are at least starting to work on it. And they're pretty far into these changes. We have screenshots with, the before and afters for these maps and some more screenshots taking a look at the maps in the game engine. But let's go ahead and get on into it. Devblog is titled Close Test, Map Rebalance, and Random Battles. Hi captains, or should we say cartographers. This might be especially true now as we are launching a close test for map rebalancing. One of the areas of gameplay improvements we are actively working on is balancing existing maps. Our latest analysis of game data and player surveys has highlighted specific maps that need closer attention. Therefore, in this first close test, we aim to address issues on the maps Okinawa and Mountain Range. At the same time, we're also exploring the possibility of introducing Riposte into random battles. Let's break down the changes we've applied so far to the maps in testing. Keep in mind, though, that the visuals and all the adjustments to the layouts are not final and might be subject to change. First up is Okinawa. So this is the current map of Okinawa, if you are unaware, a very asymmetrical map. And here is the new map of Okinawa. Some things that stand out to me first off is, haha, battleships, you can't camp all the way in the back anymore. Nor can aircraft carriers go and hide all the way in the back of spawn. You gotta go to the way out there to the A1 or J10 line if you wish to do so. So you can't just camp and spawn anymore. That's great. You also have some much needed island cover down south by the sea cap. That cap is just terrible if you're in a ship that is traditionally used to island hugging, or basically anything that isn't a super stealthy destroyer, right? That cap is way too open, so you got some more island cover there. So good improvement so far. So what they have to say about this: the proposed changes aim to improve the gameplay dynamics on the map and align the balance for both teams. Adjusted the amount of cover in the northwestern side to make this part of the map more fair for the southern team. Adjusted the islands inside the B key area. They now provide better cover at the area's edges facing the team's spawns. At the same time, we've lowered some parts of these islands to make it easier to shoot into or out of the key area center early in the game and at later stages. Added new islands around the B and C key areas, as well as adjusted some of the existing islands around them to make gameplay on this part of the map more dynamic. Removed most of the southeastern island, leaving only a smaller peninsula for cover to provide more tactical space for both teams. Added large islands between the team spawns to encourage more forward-facing action. Okay. Yeah, so that last part is basically saying what I said. You can't camp and spawn anymore, or at least you can't run any further back, at least. So I think that's pretty good, not focusing, but forcing more of the action, towards the mid part of the map, instead of course, just sailing around the back for ages like what would happen on Okinawa. Alright, so I like these changes. Okinawa is a map that I'm not a huge fan of. Only really with like the northwestern side, because obviously you do have those islands there that you can use to get closer to the enemy team and get into some real action. Again, down in the southeast on the current version, the live version of Okinawa, it's just kind of a snipe fest, and you're waiting for the DDs to either spot the other one or murder the other one, right? So I do like this change quite a lot. So good on you for that, Wargaming. Again, this is all still in testing. It can still change, but it looks good. I think it looks great. All right, Mountain Range, another offender when it comes to less than stellar maps. All right, so current version and then changed version. Some more minor changes here to Mountain Range than to Okinawa, but still definitely some big ones. All right, we've came up with several key changes to amend the imbalance and expand player options while keeping the core idea of the map. Division into 2 parts, viable. Reduce the number of islands in the central mountain chain to open up the map. The chain now consists of 6 islands instead of 8, so we've lost 2 islands on the central chain. Additionally, we've changed some of these island shapes to fit the changed layout. Spread out the islands on the western side of the map so they provide more cover and are more useful. Additionally, we reworked most of the islands and their layout there to improve gameplay dynamics in this part of the map. Adjusted the key areas layout to be evenly spread across the map as opposed to being skewed toward the eastern side. Okay, so this looks pretty good. I like that they moved the A cap into the islands over there on the western spawn. Those islands over there, I do actually like playing around in those, and the islands in the east, because again, well, I mean, I like brawling, if you don't know. So the opportunity to kind of skedaddle up to the enemy team, try and sneak up and get in close range is pretty good. Obviously, that's a pretty fun place for destroyers to rush, those that are trying to do that. So, it's a nice mess in there, in my humble opinion. At the same time, too, you don't have to push forward. You can, use those islands that are further down to the south and to the north to, get some cover and break contact if you need to, but the cap's way out in the open. So now the cap's into the islands. You can use them as cover to try and get in there and nab the cap and such, so that's great. And the central cap point, the B cap point, is also shrunk in between the 2 islands there, so that's pretty good. And then the island out east, nothing really looks like it changed too much over there at all, so that's about the same. And again, that was a cap that I think is a pretty solid one. There's plenty of island cover for both teams DDs to get in there. They'll try and hug an island, and you're trying to fight each other out of that cap, so that's pretty nice. They do say, they've changed the islands' shapes and such. They do provide some screenshots here, but of course, getting in there and trying it out for yourself is the best way to exactly see what's changed. But again, good changes for Mountain Range. I'm surprised they didn't try and tackle tiers of the cruisers. That's probably one of the absolute worst offenders when it comes to terrible maps that might be on their plate later down the line. I guess they're just trying to dip their toes into the water with these 3 maps here. All right, and Riposte, which is currently not in the random battles rotation. Interesting that they're bringing this to random. So this would be like us basically getting a new map, because this map is not in the random battles rotation. So that's pretty neat. And what they're trying to do with it, too, is also fairly interesting. All right, so here's the map that's used for ranked battles right now. We're looking at expanding the random battles map list by adding Riposte to it. Therefore, the first step is to test new key area layouts first before considering other changes to the map. Change the key area layouts to fit the regular domination mode with 4 key areas and random battles. And this looks pretty freaking wild. So you got the 2, normal-ish cap points out there to the west and to the southeast. And then you've got the 2 freaking, Thunderdome caps, which that's great. That's going to be hectic and wonderful. I like that. And then they also added a new key area and rearranged spawn point layouts. Visual's not ready yet for the domination alternative mode with 4 key areas and random battles. So they say visual's not ready yet, but then there's a screenshot of it. I guess that means they don't have like the in-game engine screenshots for the layout, but anyway, so for this layout, you got 2 normal size cap points north and south, and then you've got 2 of the Thunderdome cap points and the central point, but they're even smaller than the ones from the version that we just took a look at. So there's that. So that's pretty cool. Again, you can only get so much from screenshots of the maps. I would very much like to, once this gets on like the PT client, get in there and see exactly what's going on with these maps. But again, very cool that they're doing this, and I do like I think I like the first layout a little bit better. It's the more traditional cap layout, but you know what, this bottom one could be pretty fun too. Again, we got to get our hands on them. We'll keep you updated on the progress of rebalancing these maps, and once the changes are finalized, they will be applied to other battle types, including ranked clan battles, brawls, and potentially others. Looking ahead, we'll continue to closely monitor map balance in World of Warships and make adjustments as needed to ensure fair and engaging gameplay. Again, Tears of the Cruisers. Gotta be next up for some of these balancing changes if they go forward with this. So, great. I am very happy that Wargaming is doing this. They're taking a look at these maps. Keep in mind, these maps, y'all, are as old as the game, right? Most of them. So you've got not only these maps, but there actually is a fair amount of maps in the game. I think there's like 35, 36, 37 maps in the game, which if you look at like modern day games, that's a lot of maps. I mean, think about like when the new Call of Duties and such launch, they have like maybe 10 maps, 8 maps, 7 maps, if that. Sometimes way less than that. So it's pretty cool that, you know, we have this game with 10 years worth of maps, but the issue is, of course, we didn't have the ships that we have nowadays 10 years ago. You know, we don't have the Utrechts, the Golden Loose, all the radars, all the gimmicks, all the funny buttons back then that we have today. So a lot of these map designs have definitely not aged well. So going in, updating them, rebalancing them for modern World of Warships is one of the best things Wargaming can do. Next to, of course, is introducing new maps that take all that into account. But we are getting that too. So that's very cool. So again, another W for Wargaming here. They're on one hell of a streak. Let's see if they can keep it up. Hopefully so, because I've really been enjoying the good news from Wargaming here recently, as I'm sure most of you guys have as well. So guys, that's all we got for today's video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about these map changes. Besides the 3 that we got here, what other maps would you like to see Wargaming go in and rebalance? Let me know all that good stuff in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoy. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Make sure you drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, all of that jazz. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.